Hello everyone, we're going to be creating a kind of complicated interior view using two-point perspective. I'm using the digital program to do this just because I think it'll be a little better for you guys in terms of being able to see how this drawing will unfold. On the paper here, what I've done is I have 18, this middle section represents 18 by 24 sheet of paper. These two left and right sections represent a half sheet of 18 by 24. So what I want you to do is cut a regular sheet down the middle and then use the good side, the side you haven't cut, and butt it up against the big sheet of paper, okay? So you're starting off with 2 sheets of paper, cutting one in half, ending up with 3 sheets of paper, right? 2 smaller ones and a bigger one. And simply butt, don't overlap, but butt up, one sheet up of paper against the right side of the larger sheet, the other small sheet against the left side of the bigger sheet. And use your tape and kind of create a stitch, right? 3 or 4 little taped areas all the way down there, 3 or 4 little taped areas all the way down here. And then a large piece of tape to cover the whole thing along the seam on both sides. And then simply turn the sheet of paper over and draw on the other side so the tape will be on the back. Now what that's doing is giving you a larger sheet of paper to draw on. Although you're not going to be drawing out on these wings here, the drawing is going to take place in the middle. But what it does do is allow you to get these vanishing points. See the vanishing point there? Pushed all the way out to the edge of the sheet of paper, okay? On both sides. Now in theory you could do it all on one sheet of paper, but it's not going to make it look right. It'll look distorted, okay? So the reason we want to get these vanishing points out there, like in that, when I had the box sitting in the driveway on the 2-point scheme of that box, I pointed out that the vanishing points for that box were off the edge of the photograph, right? That makes it look more normal. Otherwise it'd be like a fisheye lens. Everything would get distorted looking if you put these vanishing points on the same sheet of paper. Now I know we did that with the cube or box drawing, but that wasn't kind of representing a real scenario in a certain way. So on this drawing I would like you to kind of get those all the way out there, okay? Okay, so once you've done that, you got a couple things to think about here. What I've done is I put a vertical line down. Since it's a 2-point scheme, we can't start with a rectangular shape because a rectangular shape would create the let me draw one here for you. If we're doing 1 point, you can start out with that rectangular shape. These lines are horizontal to the bottom and top of the page, right? Because this form is parallel to your body. In a 2-point scheme, we don't have that luxury, okay? To have horizontal lines be parallel to the top and bottom of the sheet of paper. They have to project, all horizontal lines have to project to a vanishing point. Okay, so let's get back to the view here. So what you need to start out with is the corner of the box, right? Now in this case, we did the 2-point scheme and the lines, the 2 sides of the box were moving away from us, right, to the vanishing point. In this scenario, we're inside the box, we're in the room. We still start with a vertical line, okay? But we're inside of the room. So rather than, I'll just do a quick little rendering here. The side of this box moving to the vanishing point, right? In this case, the box is at eye level, right? So there's the plane that's moving away from us, right? Can't do that because we're inside of the room. So what happens is you start with your vertical line, which is the corner of the room, and you got to make the walls come at you. So this corner of the room is going to be the furthest point away from us in the drawing, technically speaking, in terms of the room we're sitting in. So what you do is you start at the bottom, and instead of moving back to this vanishing point, we use this vanishing point and project from, you're going to be using your large, probably have to use your yardstick for this, right? Because it's a large space here. Project that to the bottom of the corner of the room and keep going to create the bottom of the left wall, okay? So I'm at the bottom of the corner of the room. I don't have to do that because I'm in this program that will allow me to do it, right? You're going to have to stretch your ruler all the way up to this vanishing point, past the corner of the room here, and draw the bottom of the left wall. So it's going to look something like this. Now, you could stop at the edge of this 18 by 24 sheet of paper. You don't have to go over here, okay? We just have these wings as a way to get the vanishing points away from us. So we're projecting from infinity into the room. We're in the corner of the room now, right? And we project that this direction. So we've created the left wall of the corner of the room we're sitting in, right? Notice how the wall's getting bigger as it moves towards us away from the corner of the room. Now let's do the right wall. Come from infinity into the corner of the room. Oop, sometimes this doesn't behave. And off the edge of the paper. From infinity into the corner of the room. Oop, there we go again. And off the sheet of paper. So we've created this illusion of floor, left wall, right wall, ceiling. Okay? So let's back up a second here, okay? Just thinking how I want to kind of relay this to you. So this will be, notice I'm showing more floor than ceiling, right? And notice that I've aligned again the horizon line in terms of this vertical dimension of the paper, about 2/3 of the way up, right? A little bit more, you know, kind of in between 2/3, maybe and a half the height, right? Not 3/4. 3/4 would be about right here. So this horizon line reflects our eye level in the room, okay? I didn't make this corner too big. Why? You know, too long. Because I wanted to save room to put stuff on the floor. And I've also shifted it up on the paper a little bit because I don't want quite as much ceiling space as floor space. More stuff's going to happen on the floor, right? So the position of this vertical line or the corner of the room is important in terms of how long you make it and its position up and down on the page, okay? So you got to think about that. So that's one thing. I'm giving myself room to draw something on the floor, right? So I didn't make this line too long. I could have made the corner of the room this long, right? Then look how much, you know, pretend that other stuff I drew wasn't there. I wouldn't have much floor space here, would I? See that? Okay. So you got to think about that. It's giving a sense of distance to the drawing, right? In the other case that I just drew, we'd be right up into the corner of the room, so we wouldn't have a sense of distance. Okay. So the other thing to think about is our eye level relative to the room. So horizon line is your eye level. And it only has meaning in so much as it's relating to something that exists in space already. In this case, it was that line, right? So let's see if I can go to another layer here. I guess not. I'll just stay in this layer. Let me back up here. Okay. So right now I have the eye level, the horizon line relative to the corner of the room, a little above halfway the length of this line, right? So that means if I'm standing in this room, my eye level is going to be a little bit above halfway of the room. Now let's see what happens. So the angle, for instance, of the bottom of this wall is something like that, right? Let's see what happens if I move this horizon. Let's just draw the floor, the angle of the floor here for a second. I don't know if I can change this, but we'll see. Let's move the horizon line down. So in other words, what I'm doing right now, I can't go below that line because that means my head would be below the floor. But that view right there means my head is really close to the bottom of the room, right? Because my eye level, or i.e. horizon line, is positioned relative to the length of this line all the way at the bottom, okay? So that means my head in the room would be really low. Let's see what kind of angle we get now. See if I can back that up, or is that just going to move? That's just going to move those, so we'll keep those the same. So I'm now going to draw the bottom of, let's draw the bottom of this wall. Remember, I moved the horizon line down relative to the corner of the room, right? So I'm going to go to the corner of the room. Now I'm going to redraw the bottom of that wall. Let's see here, let's not go that. There we go. Yep, see that slight angle right there, right? There's horizon line, that's a horizontal line. That's going down just the slightest amount. Why? Because it doesn't have to go up much to get to this horizon line. So the floor would become very, very flattened out. But the ceiling, on the other hand, let's draw the line that represents, the top of that wall. Look what happened. It's coming from here through infinity into the room. Oh, back it up. That gets very steep, okay? Erase this away. So if we were sitting in the room and our head was literally on the floor, right? This is what the room would look like. The ceiling lines would be very steep, and the floor lines, that line that separates the floor from the bottom of the wall, goes down just the slightest amount, right? So we get this view of looking up into the room. All right, let's back up here now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reposition the horizon line really high, like my head's on, like I'm standing on a ladder or something, so my head's almost up at the ceiling. The opposite will take place, right? Watch what happens to the... So I'm coming from out of the, from infinity into the corner of the room. That line steepens quite a bit. Let's look at its partner, the top of the wall, coming into the room. Yeah, it's going up a little bit, right? So all of a sudden now, come from the other way. It feels like we're up high, coming into the space, right? Whoop. Always cooperate there. There we go. Looking down into the room, right? We're up, see how horizontal these lines are, the ceiling lines? Looking down into the room. So I could reposition this whole drawing and still maintain this, right? I could move this whole thing down as long as I have the relationship of the horizon line to this top of this line, which is ceiling, the same. This view would look the same, okay? So the horizon line's position on the page isn't that important. What's important is the horizon line's position relative to the object you're drawing. In this case, it's represented merely by the corner of the room or a vertical line, okay? All right, so the first thing I want you to put down is this vertical, you could put the vertical line down or the horizon line, doesn't matter, but I would, if I were you, have this horizon line about 2/3 the height of the paper, because that'll give you, you'll find out later on, that'll give you room to kind of do some things that you wouldn't have room otherwise to do, okay? And get these vanishing points way out here, all right? And notice right now, my eye level relative to the room, which I haven't drawn right now, right? I just have the corner, which is this vertical line, is a little above halfway. That's about halfway the height of the room, right? So that'll give me some, room to do some stuff below the horizon line, some room to do some stuff above the horizon line. So let's go ahead and do that right now. From infinity. If I can get on that line there. Let me blow this up just a little bit. So my program here allows me to, create those angles automatically, right? So I don't have to kind of go back to that vanishing point with this pointer here. So I just want to kind of be able to see a little bit more here. Okay, so there's the corner of the room. It's a little off there. That's the kind of problem I think with digital drawing that, pencil and paper you can kind of avoid. Okay, so let's do one more thing. Let's draw, we won't do the whole thing yet, but let's draw the shape of a doorway maybe into another room here, okay? So I'm going to draw the two vertical lines that will create the doorway first. Or I'll just draw, draw two verticals. Let's do that. There's the left side of the doorway, as I envision it, right? Okay. And the right side of the doorway. I'm not drawing the door, just the doorway, okay? Now, the rule here is that all horizontal lines, right, in reality, tops of doorways, have to go to one or the other vanishing points. So you only have two choices here. Look where the lines that describe the wall the door is in go to. What vanishing point? They go back to this one over here, right? So the top of the doorway is parallel to the ceiling line, right? So it has to go back to that as well. And there you go. Now if you had your kind of ruler there, you could kind of finish those lines out, but try it. Okay. So that's the opening. I haven't made the opening yet because I still have this line here, and I haven't created a wall thickness and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to do that in a few minutes here, but now we have two walls, that are described by the angle of this, the angle of this, the angle of this, the angle of this, corner of the room, and a door, a rectangular shape right now. It's not a doorway yet. It's going to become a doorway into another room, and then we'll draw the other room as well. Okay, so it's a good time to take a little break here.